Thank you very much for
Of
doing that.
course.
We'll see what we've got today when everybody
Yeah.
gets into class. Yeah, we'll take it from there. All
There we
right.
go.
Thank
All
you
right, let me
so
make you
much.
host again, and I will jump off.
Thank you, Amir. Amir, one thing.
Yeah,
I
sure.
had no TA in my previous class. Was that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
the we can I mean we can chat about. I can actually message you directly about that.
Okay. Super.
We're
Thanks.
live streaming now.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know if there was a mistake or something forgotten or something. But thanks. If you'll
No,
just
yeah, it was yeah, I'll message to you right now.
thank you so much. Right. Anybody who's watching, get yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, get yourself set up and enjoy listening to all about the second half of Australian animals. I will be back in 3 minutes. Mute. Start sharing. And hi, everyone. Welcome. Hi, Mary Ellen. Hi, Nancy. Lovely to have you both in class. Here comes Carol Sue. She is always in for my animal ones and others. Nice to have you, Carol Sue.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Lovely to have you all in class. This is the second class today, so it's a bit later in the day for me, a bit later at night for you. So that's just how we go. Right. Mary Ellen, where are you from?
I'm on the south side of Chicago.
South side of Chicago. Okay. Is it getting warmer there now?
It is. It was in the 50s today.
Oh, nice, nice. We've cooled down a bit. We've gone down from your 107s down to about your 60s. So it's very nice. It's rainy today, so it's cooler
Yes.
today.
We had rain too. I like it about 60. Anything warmer than 60 or 70 is too much for me.
You sound like my husband. Hi, Shirley. Lovely to have you. Karen is collecting. Hi, Karen. Great to have you. Sandra, lovely to have everybody in
Hi, Sue.
class. Hi, nice to have you back in class.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. I see a lot of regular faces. Hi, Karen. Yes, now I can see you too. That's awesome. Lovely to see. We've got quite a few people joining us. I know it was short notice. They didn't forget. They took time to put up our schedule for this week. So we were only put up quite late. Hi, Sandra. Right. Welcome everyone to class. Some I see are new, some are my regulars that are often in my classes. And this is the second one of the Animals of Australia. My second Animals of Africa will debut, I think it's next week or the week after. So you'll have Animals of Africa and the second Animals of Africa as well. They're not up on the schedule yet. I'm hoping they're going to put them up in the next day or so. Nancy, where are you from, may I ask? Just press your space bar and then you can speak.
Brooklyn, New York.
New York. Okay, lovely. And Wilhelmina, lovely to have you as well. Excellent. Right. I think I'm going to start sharing, and then as people come in, then they will be able to join us as we go along. Right. Now, the first first one of the series that I did was mainly the well-known marsupials that you have in Australia. I did all marsupials, but you know most of those ones. In today's lesson, these are the lesser known animals. Some of them are well known, but a lot of them are the lesser known ones. And so we are able to find out a little more, and to find more marsupials is absolutely amazing, because I've never known a country in anywhere else in the world to have so many marsupials. They are quite amazing with their little pouches in front, with their little babies that are popping out at different times to have a look at the world. To me, that is so special. Every time I see a mom walking around with her baby in a bag in front of her, the baby carriers, I think of the marsupials of Australia. So let's begin. We learn from each other. So if any of you have had experiences or have seen some of these animals, please share your experiences with all of us. I've seen all of them, but some of them only in the zoo, purely because they're on the East Coast and I live on the West Coast. And I've only been here 3 years. So I've still got a lot of exploring to do to see some of the other animals. If you want a copy of the recording, you can request it after the class. And if you've joined by live streaming, if you want to partake, all you have to do is register for the class. If I mention any products, get set up on paid for any form of advertising. A little bit about me. I live in Perth, Australia. I've been here 3 years. I lived in South Africa before that for 63 years, and that's where I get my love of animals. I've been an educator for 44 years and still enjoy teaching the young children that I teach online. But I'm so enjoying just sharing with my peers now on Get Set Up. For me, this is an awesome platform to work on. I enjoy creating and making things, including puzzles, but a lot of, I've just done a class on using toilet rolls to create amazing things that we can use, not for children, for us. And that was so interesting because I've changed my class. I have a great love of animals. And as before I said, I so enjoy working for Get Set Up, being a guide. They're an amazing company. Right, Australian wild animals, part 2, from the cute little beautiful fairy penguin to the rather large, awesome and scary crocodile, going from the sublime to the ridiculous. But let's begin. We're going to talk about a variety of animals. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Numbat. He's a strange little creature, very much solitary. We'll talk about the cassowary, the most dangerous bird in the world. The echidna, one of the animals that is a mammal but lays eggs. We'll also talk about the thorny devil that we find in the desert. We'll talk about the emu, who is the second largest bird after the ostrich in Africa. We'll talk about the little Potteroo. He has such a cute little face. The dingo that looks remarkably like a dog, but definitely isn't. I was hoping I would have a TA today who would be able to, if we've got time, I'll share the sound of a kookaburra, because the kookaburra laughs, and it laughs sounds like it's laughing from the end of its little feet all the way up through its body, and out comes this very infectious laugh, and you can hear it right through the forest. When they are in our little forest next to us, my windows open, I can hear 2 kookaburras having a lovely conversation with their laughter, and it is really great to be able to do that. We're also going to talk about a quoll, the crocodile, a little bilby, who belongs to the same family as the bandicoot, that is one of the bandicoots, like the one that visits my home. And last but not least, the little fairy penguin. So let's begin. We're going to talk about the bilby first. The bilby is a wonderful little animal. We don't have rabbits here, and he's the closest to a rabbit. He's got the long ears of the rabbit, and when we do Easter, often the bilby is shown as one of the animals because he looks a little like a rabbit. He's got a very distinctive tail. He's got a long tail, it's white, then it's got a black sort of quite rough area, and then you've got the fluffy end to the tail. So he's you can see him straight away by his tail. I've included a map in every group, except if they cover the whole of Australia. You can see that bilbies are mainly found in West Australia, but towards the north. And it's because of the way, and there's a few in Queensland, but not very many. Their habitat has been destroyed, and so that's why it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The little bilby is a very small animal. He weighs not even as much as a kilo. He's like a rabbit, basically in size and shape, or even a large rat. He's small, and he lives underground. Right. Any questions on the bilby?
What does he eat?
He is a herbivore. So he eats all the different grasses and seeds. He also eats small insects. He eats dog food. All of the bandicoots eat. So they basically herbivores, but they are omnivores at times. They love fruit. They love seeds. My bandicoot goes for the dog food and the bird seed. He's very happy if those are available in the garden.
The
Any other-
bilbies, ears are big. What is the purpose?
This particular one, that's just the way he is. There are 32
Okay.
different types of bandicoot, and he's got these very long ears. Possibly when he is going in or out, I can only surmise because many animals with the long ears, when they go underground, the ears they've gone in, now they're coming back out backwards. The ears will actually bend over the eyes and protect the eyes so that they don't, and they are then able, because that's what happens to some of the animals in Africa when they back out. They use the ears to cover their eyes as they're coming out. That's a conjecture. I can't say it's true or not, but I put 2 and 2 together according to that, because he is an underground animal.
Yeah, they must have a purpose. Yes.
I'll have another look for that, Corin, and if I find it, I will pop it out. Pop it
Okay.
in for you. I've added lots of things from your questions, so
Yeah.
it's great.
I'm learning
No,
too. Thank you. That's
it's
why I keep
lovely.
forgetting.
No,
Yes.
that's fine. Oopsie, my finger jumped about 6 there. Right, now we've got the little Numbat. He is a very cute animal. The Numbat is about 25 centimeters without his tail, and then his tail is about 17 centimeters longer. So he's about that length of a ruler, and his tail is almost as long as he is. So he's got a very long tail sticking out the back of him, but without his tail, he's quite small. He's 25 centimeters long. He is diurnal, which means that he's awake at the night and he's awake during the day. It just depends on what he feels like doing or when he's hungry, because he lives exclusively on digging for termites, and he has the longest tail, I think, tongue of all creatures. His tongue is 10 centimeters long. Now, when you think that he is only 25 centimeters himself, and now he's got a 10 centimeter tongue that he can reach into those anthills, and he can dig out all the little ants that he requires from the termite mounds. And he eats a large quantity of them every day. He was once widespread all over the south of Australia, but now he's mainly in Western Australia. We see him, he doesn't come as high up as Perth. I haven't seen him as high up as Perth, but I have seen one when we've gone further south. And they weigh about 2 kilos and they live for about 5 years in the wild. So that's a little bit of information about the Numbat, a different animal to what we normally see. Any questions? Okay, now the Pottoroo. He's got a long nose. He looks a lot like a mouse. In fact, if you see him, you'd think, oh, is that a rat? He actually isn't. He's a little Pottoroo. He also has shorter front legs and big bounding back legs, like most of the marsupials. He is a nocturnal, and you don't see him very often purely because of where he lives. He lives in, he's not territorial. He lives all on his own. So to find him, you've got to find one. You don't find a whole colony of them like you do with kangaroo or other marsupials. And he's found in the forests, in the underground vegetation. So he's found in the small plants growing under the tall trees. So he is in what they call the understory vegetation. That is, your top story is your trees and your leaves and that. He lives in the lower area, very close to the ground, under all the fallen leaves and the small plants there. And he lives on fungi, fruit, flowers, seeds, and insects. But a very delightful little animal. Rarely seen. You've really got to look for him. Now, for me, one of the strangest looking animals we have is the echidna. You can't say that the baby echidna is attractive. He kind of looks like he should be an elephant, but he's not. but because he doesn't have any of his prickles yet, so he has sort of like a downy thing. The reason he doesn't have prickles is because the mum lays an egg. There are only 2 mammals that lay eggs in the whole of the in the world, and both of them live in Australia. One is your platypus, and the second one is the echidna. And the echidna lays her egg, but the egg comes out and goes straight into the pouch. So although her baby is then in her pouch in an egg, and then when the egg hatches, the teats are ready there for the baby to be able to drink. Now, if the baby, when it does hatch, comes out with the prickles, that would be very uncomfortable for mom. So in fact, it's got like a sort of a downy, lumpy sort of fur on the top of it while it's still inside mom's pouch, and only then do the spiny spikes start to grow, and then as they grow, mum turfs it out because it becomes quite uncomfortable to have something pricking you all the time. But those first prickles are quite soft, so mum's able to handle those until they get better. But for me, I just think, as ugly as it is just so cute. This funny little creature. He really is the strangest of creatures. Now, the echidna also has a very, very peculiar way of being able to mate. Yes, Shirley.
Where do they nest, or are they in the treetops or the?
No. They very much like your porcupine. They live on the ground. They're the little porcupine creatures. They wander around on the ground. In fact, I'm not sure whether they actually go into they don't have a home as such, because what they do is, if anything comes to harm them, they just roll up in a ball and nothing wants to touch those spikes. So they actually have a very great protection, like a porcupine. You really have to be very persistent if you want to get into that center and be able to attack them. So no, they walk slowly, they live slowly, they live for 50 years. 45 years in the wild. So they really do live long lives. And there's the long-nosed and the short-nosed echidna. And their spines are modified hairs, and then inside between those are very soft hairs to keep them warm. So they've got both. Now, one of the most interesting things is when yes, Shirley.
It says that they're smaller than a jelly bean.
When they're born.
On them?
No. That's when they're born. When they're born, they are the size of a jelly bean. They are this size. When they come out of the egg, they are that size.
Oh, okay.
They are jelly bean size, and that's why they are in mom's pouch until they are ready to come out. No, an echidna is anything between 35 and 60 centimeters long, and so that's just longer than a ruler in length, and they are they weigh between 3 and 9 kilos. I must actually change it into pounds for you as well, because I have done that for the first lot of animals and the first lot of African animals. I must now do it for these ones as well, so that you've got them. Yeah, so that they're not big animals, but they're anything from that to about 60 centimeters long. So they're a fair size. But the baby, when born, is the size of a jelly bean. Anything else, Shirley? No. Okay. Now the mating of the animals is so interesting. The male has 4 penises, and the female has 2 vagina. So he puts 2 into her in order for her to be able to mate. So I think I would be terrified if I saw that coming towards me, but that is their very special mating, and they do a whole ritual of mating, and how they get what they do for their mating is that when it's time, the males all follow the female, nose to tail, for about a month. They follow her. And when she thinks it's time, then they dig a trench around her, and all of them go into the trench, and then they fight. They kick each other out of the trench. And the last one standing, he is the lucky one, and he is now the partner of that echidna for this mating season. So it is quite a rigmarole that goes on with them. I can just imagine all these sort of Colosseum type style fighting going on and if you are kicked out, you can't come back into it. So once you're out, and they respect that. But I think it is the most awesome. And of course, these animals come from 4,000 years ago. They come from dinosaur era and or closely. Nobody really knows when either the platypus or the echidna come from, but they are way before our modern animals. So they've been around a really long time. Any other questions?
Are they in North South Wales?
Sorry,
your
you can see on the map where they are. You can see all the different places that you can find them. Yes, New South Wales. They are in New South Wales.
Mm.
And this little baby is born, and it's a little leathery egg. And 10 days later, the little baby, called a puggle. I think it's such a cute name because it fits with the funny look of this little creature that comes out. So for me, I think the echidna is an amazing creature. So now let's have a look. Our next one that we have is the quoll. He is a very secretive little animal. You can always see him by his very pink nose. It stands out anywhere, this pink nose. And he's got a beautiful tail, a long body. The quoll is about 40 centimeters long, and he weighs about 3 kilos. So he's not, again, none of them are big animals. He's very solitary and reclusive. He does not like people. He stays away. If you see him, it's by accident, and appreciate it and enjoy it, because he's not there to make friends with humans or other animals for that matter. He lives all alone. He is a carnivore, but he also eats fruit and vegetable matter as well. He lives almost anywhere, under rocks, in old tree trunks, in burrows that have been vacated, in old termite mounds that have no longer got termites in them. That's where he'll find a home. He'll make his home very happily, and there he will stay. When it's time for mating, they will find each other and mate, and then off they go again. And that is outside of the mating season. You don't see them together. So if you do see two together, it's either a baby growing or it's mating season, one or the other. They have this lovely pattern of spots on their back, which is very, very distinctive. Any questions? Okay, now the dingo. Everybody thinks, oh, that looks like a dog. Oh, look at those puppies. Aren't they cute? Puppies with an ulterior motive. Don't be thinking that a dingo is a pet. It's not. It's very, very close to the wolf. And it's the way it carries itself and its characteristics. It is far more wolf-like than dog-like. They work in packs, and they can be reddish brown or black and white. And they're the largest land predator in the whole of Australia. They are very much carnivores. You can see them throughout Western Central Australia, in forests, on plains, in deserts. They are everywhere. They make their dens in rabbit holes or caves or hollowed out logs, and they are a social creature. They live in packs. And as you know, anything that on its own you can maybe handle, in a pack, you don't stand a chance. So they eat fish, they love meat, they will eat chickens, they will eat birds, they will basically eat anything. They're usually about 10 members in the pack, and the female is dominant, but the overall leader is the oldest dominant male. And the younger males will fight him in the end and get him to leave the pack, or if they lose, they have to go and start their own pack somewhere else. So some of the dingoes do live alone. You'll see an occasional lone dingo. Usually it's one that has been turfed from the pack, either for trying to be the dominant and it didn't work out. They weren't strong enough and they got turfed, but they will eventually get together with others. The little babies look so cute, but they have razor sharp teeth and they are wild animals. They are not a pet. One of the things you need to definitely remember. Any questions?
How many dingoes in a litter?
In a single litter, there can be up to 10.
Okay.
So they can have quite a big litter.
Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Are the males bigger than the females usually?
Only just slightly. I couldn't tell the difference between a male and a female. Standing next to each other, I would go that the bigger one is the male and the slightly smaller one is the female. But no, they're very much the same size.
Hard to tell, yeah.
That's like dogs. Dogs, you don't really have a bigger male, or unless you have my two. My little girl is tiny compared to her brother. But I think she was the runt of the litter. So because she's so much smaller than him. But no, like dogs, males and females are pretty much the same size.
Okay.
And the same goes for wolves as well. Right. Oops, lost my mouse for a second. There it comes. Now, the crocodile. The crocodile is probably the fiercest animal. He's got the strongest bite of all animals. But interestingly enough, he can't chew. He is unable to move his jaw from side to side in order to chew. So he swallows whatever he's eaten whole. He then swallows some rocks and moves the rocks around in his stomach. His stomach muscles move the rocks and the rocks grind up the food.
Wow.
But he is unable to. So that's why if they do sometimes open a crock, they might find most of a person there because that person was swallowed whole. And you'll definitely find whole whatever else the croc has consumed. They will be there unless the rocks have had time to grind it into usable portions for the croc to be able to use in his stomach. And his stomach muscles are able to do. But one thing, please be very aware that crocs can camouflage themselves. If you look at the picture on the bottom right-hand corner, that croc sleeping on that log looks just like a log. You lean against that log and you are lunch or dinner or breakfast, but you're not yourself anymore. So crocodiles can, as big as they are, because crocs grow to 4 to 5 meters long and they weigh up to 1,000 kilograms. So they are really big, heavy creatures, but they can camouflage themselves in the same way as elephants do, that you don't see the elephant standing in the trees. They have the ability to camouflage themselves. It's interestingly enough, there are 2 species of crocodile in Australia. The one species are the freshwater, which are found nowhere else in the world. And then the estuarian crocodile, which is a mixture of seawater and fresh water, and where the estuaries come in. They live in lakes and rivers, freshwater bodies, saltwater and brackish water for the estuarian crocodile. And one of the interesting things about them is that when she lays the eggs, the temperature determines whether they're going to be all boy eggs or all girl eggs. If it is above 32 degrees Celsius, which would be about 60, I would say, for you in Fahrenheit, I would have to go and look that up, then they are all males. If it is below 32 degrees, they will all be females. If you're lucky enough in that brood that she lays some and then the temperature goes up, you might get some boys and some girls. But it's so interesting that the temperature is what tells you what they're going to be, boy or girl. Their hatching time is 80 to 90 days. That was one of the questions I was asked, and it's now into it. So it's about a 3-month hatching period. And the eggs are left in the soil to hatch. Mom and dad don't look after them. When they're ready, they hatch out and they start wandering around from the beginning. They live for 30 to 40 years, so they're not a short-lived creature. And we've seen sometimes on the news where a croc has been on one side of the river and instead of swimming across has decided to take the bridge instead. And then you've got they've had to close that side of the bridge off, let the croc walk all the way across the bridge and let him go down or her go down on the other side, because nobody's going to fight a croc. Crocs have right of way. Interestingly enough, in Australia, the wildlife live absolutely in harmony next to each other. We have kangaroo living 500 meters from our home. They go in and out of the farms. They will be all around. We've got bandicoot. And there's even little signs up on the road saying bandicoot crossing. That means if you see a bandicoot crossing, you stop your car. The bandicoot crosses and goes. You might see ducks crossing, particularly at the season where they're ducklings. If you see the sign, you stop your car, and if you've seen the sign, you're very aware. So the ducks can cross anywhere in that area. You watch for them, you stop your vehicles, and the ducks have right of way. So it's rather nice that this is how we really live in harmony with nature. Any questions?
Have you ever heard of a bird, a lorikeet?
A lorikeet, yes, it's one of the parrot family.
Okay, I just saw a picture of it on the Facebook today, and it was such a pretty bird.
Oh, look, we are so fortunate in where I have a little forest next to me. It's tiny, but it's enough to have all the trees, and we have the most amazing birds, because of course the parrots are very prevalent here in Australia. So we have ones with red chests, we have vivid green ones, we have ones with black, yellow and red, and we've got rainbow ones, we've got pink ones, pink and gray ones called a guala. And we have beautiful birds. They come into my garden. My husband fortunately has green fingers. I know where I want to put things, but he's great at growing them. And we work very well as a team with that. And we have amazing birds coming into our garden. Anything from the black parrot down to there's, I think, I can't even tell you how many different varieties, and the lorikeet is one of them. They are really beautiful birds, really beautiful birds. We are very fortunate here with our wildlife. Right, now this is a very strange gentleman. He's called a thorny devil, and you find him in the desert. He's very clever. He's got a second head on top of his first head. And all the things that want to attack him go for that top head rather than his actual head, which is hidden underneath. So he's very clever with this second head. They think that that's where they're going to look. He's small. He's not a big creature. He's only he's 8 inches long. He's very small. And he weighs, did I write what he weighs? No, I didn't write how much he weighs, but he doesn't weigh very much, as you can see as he rests on your hands. He's tiny, he's little, he's beautiful. And the way he drinks is, if there's any water on leaves or anything, or dew on leaves, he bumps up against them. It lands on his body. And there are little channels on his skin where all the water now drains to his mouth and he's able to drink. And I think that is such a clever way to be able to adapt to where you live and what you are doing. So he is really gorgeous, and he can change his color to blend in with the surroundings. If he's on the red soil, he'll be red. If he's on some other color, he will change to a different color, almost like a chameleon. He lives only on black ants, and he eats about 1,000 a day. So he consumes black ants by the 1,000, and he will consume 1,000 every meal. So he really has a variety of things that are different to all other animals. Any questions?
When you hold them like that picture is that not prickling into your hand?
No, they look very prickly. When you pick up anything that's prickly, usually the underbelly is soft. And so in fact, you're holding him on the underbelly, and the prickles are only on the top part. If I put my hand on top of him, I'm likely to get spiked, yes. But on the underbelly, you're safe with the underbelly. Right, now our cassowary. This is one of the most scary birds I've ever seen. The head is a vibrant blue with this red wattle neck, and then what looks like the hoof of a horse on its head. It's this really weird, hard helmet that it has on its head. But its mouth, although it looks vicious, the mouth is not the dangerous part. The dangerous part are those enormous feet that it has and the long nails. It can dig deep into your skin, and it can hit, if it hits a vein or an artery, that's it, because it does go so deep. It really is quite vicious with those feet. The babies are just plain brown. You don't see them. They fit into the undergrowth very easily. And but the mom and dad both have that incredible, vibrant color on their heads. They are flightless because they're too big. They're the third biggest flightless bird. You've got the ostrich is the first, the emu is the second, and the cassowary is the third. Right. They say it descends from the dinosaurs. I can believe that. It really does look like some ancient creature. So here in Australia, our human population, other than the Aboriginal tribes who have been here much longer, all the people who came after the Aboriginals, is a very young country, 200 or 300 years old. But the animals on the continent have been here for centuries. Many of them outweighing even the Aboriginals who have been here for a very long time as well. So the cassowary is vital in Queensland. And the reason is, in the forest, the rainforests up in Queensland, there's the only way that the seeds get dispersed is through the cassowary eating and then moving on and depositing them in other places. If the cassowary was to die out, the forests would die too. So it is a very, very important part of the rainforest ecosystem in Queensland. Any questions?
Are both the female and male, they look the same or any
Yep.
distinguishing things?
No, I haven't seen anything different. The two that I've seen, I was told were both, one was a male and one was a female, and I certainly couldn't tell which was which.
Oh, okay.
Possibly there might be something. I can look it up, Karen. Let me see if I can find any more information on that for you.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
and
just
I'll add
curious.
that.
'Cause they
Oh
look
no,
like-
I like your curiosity. It then
Yes.
sends me off to go and research more. So it's fine. I'm very happy that you are curious and
Yes.
wanting to know. But when they look at you and they open that mouth and they've got those huge yellow eyes, it reminds me of owls, because I used to have owls in South Africa that I actually had a pair of owls that I used to, it sounds crazy, talk to. They used to come down and actually sit near me and they would talk. And every day, if I didn't, they would come and fly over my head as much as say, why aren't you talking? They even let me, when their baby fell out of the tree, look after their baby and put it back, and they didn't throw it out again, which is very unusual. So the eyes of an owl are, I have a very special feeling with owls, or a connection with owls. Now we look at the emu. Emus are slightly bigger than the cassowary. Their babies and the cassowary babies, I couldn't tell the difference if I tried. They're brown. Like we in South Africa, if you saw birds that were small, somebody'd say, what's that? And you'd say, oh, it's an LBJ, a little brown job. Could be anything of about 10 or 12 different, unless you were a really avid birder. You did not know those differences. Now, the emu is on the Australian coat of arms, so it's very important. It's the second largest land bird because it doesn't fly either. Oops. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. I was moving something across and it it took it out. The male, this is a lovely thing. Now, a number of the birds, if the eggs need to be incubated, they are incubated by the dads, not the mums. And the emu is one of those animals. He sits on those eggs for 8 weeks. He doesn't eat, he doesn't drink. He stays with those eggs, and 10 times a day, he turns the eggs over. When they are first laid, they are a very light color. But as they mature, they become a darker and darker green until they are this vibrant, rich green egg. And after 8 weeks, they will then hatch, and then mom takes over looking after the babies, and dad can have a rest and go and get something to eat. They run fast, they can jump high, they can swim, which is unusual. A lot of the land birds that can't fly don't swim either, but these ones can swim as well. And they've got a calf muscle. They are the only bird with a muscle on the back leg. And this helps them to run at up to 50 kilometers an hour. So they can really take large strides, 3-meter strides, and they are able to really speed along at a great speed. But one last interesting fact about the emu is he can't walk backwards. If he misses something that he wants to eat, he's got to do a U-turn and go back for it. He can't just step back like any other bird, just steps back and continues to find what it's looking for. Not an emu. He can't walk backwards. Any questions?
Yes. How does he survive for the 8 weeks without eating or drinking? Or the 10
Before it is time, they stock up. You find a penguin is the same. A penguin doesn't eat or drink while he's busy looking after the eggs. He actually, on the ice, a penguin will stand still for 2 months until the egg hatches.
Wow.
So they can survive. It's quite amazing. They obviously have a storage system somewhere within their bodies. I mean, a camel I know has got an incredible storage system. He can drink 200 liters of water in 3 minutes. So he can take in an incredible amount of water into his body. And I presume that's what the emu does. He stocks up and eats a lot. And I suppose it's like a hibernation of a bear or that. They don't eat or drink while they are hibernating. So it must be, I'm guessing, a mechanism that they've got that they don't need.
Thank you.
Pleasure. All right. Any other questions before we come to my favorite, my ultimate favorite, the little fairy penguins. When I lived in Africa, we saw the big penguins, and they are a fair size. They are about a meter and a half, black and white, living in their colonies. And we used to often go down to the coast and go and see them. When I got to Australia, we went, my son said, "Come, I want to take you to a place where you can see the fairy penguins." And just off the coast, there's an island where a lot of the fairy penguins live, and there's a sanctuary there as well. So any penguins that are hurt, or they will then be rehabilitated there before being released back into the waters. And these little penguins are the most adorable penguins. At full length, they are the length of a ruler when they stand up. They are tiny. The first time I saw them, I said, "Oh, look at the baby." And they said, "That's the mother and father. The baby's over there." And there was this tiny little blue thing that was busy turtling around. It was absolutely amazing. They have a blue plumage with blue eyes. So they are very different to the other penguins. They spend up to 18 hours in the water every day. You only see them as the sun is setting. They will come on land, or even well after the sun has set. They will come up onto the land, go into their burrows and sleep for the night, and then be out into the water again early in the morning. They will eat up to their body weight in squid and krill and small fish, so anchovies, sardines, things like that. But the funny thing is, they make the strangest noises. If you think of a lion, you say it roars. If you hear a hyena, you know the sound. But these little creatures, they are different. They bray like a donkey. They hiss like a snake. They cheep like a chicken, and they growl like a dog. They also squawk. So they are very vocal, and they make all sorts of sounds. And at the sanctuary where we went, the little ones they set up a little home where they can slide and jump and play, and they were making such a noise, but they were enjoying every minute of what they were doing. Playing in the water, squawking, hissing, growling. You kind of think, "Where's the dog?" Oh, it wasn't a dog. So it is really cute. They are serial monogamous, which means that for each season, they will stick to one female only, but not necessarily for the following one. And they do a little dance. All the men stand waving their flippers, and the female decides which man has waved the flippers wildly enough for her, and she will choose him. And then they do a little dance where they dance around each other, and everybody else watches while they dance, and then off they go to their burrow. They lay 2 eggs at a time, and they build the nest together. And for around 37 days, the male looks after the eggs. Female, she goes and gets herself full of food, because she now needs to be able to look after the babies once they have hatched, and then the male goes off. But the male does come back and relieve her at times. After 8 weeks, they leave the chicks alone, and off they go back to the water, and the chicks then have to survive by themselves. They have over 10,000 feathers on their bodies. And when you look at how small they are, these feathers are absolutely beautiful. They're tiny little downy feathers. And their scatter, because of the food they eat, sparkles. And I think that's where they probably got the idea of a fairy penguin, because it all shines and glitters in the sun. It really is very beautiful. You get them all around the south coast of Australia and around New Zealand as well. Any questions about the fairy penguin? My favorites. Right. Well, that is my tour of the smaller animals of Australia. Let me see if let me just finish this, and then I'll see if I can get up a kookaburra for you to hear. That if you have any feedback, please send us the feedback. It's lovely to hear your ideas, your thoughts, your criticisms, your things that you thought were good. It's great for us to be able to learn from that. And I will send you a link in my email. Oh, I've lost my mouse again. There it comes. You can ask for a recording at helpitgetsetup.io. There are others in the series. If you're interested in animals, there's Animals of Africa and More Animals of Africa. So it's wonderful to have. Right, let me stop sharing. And then I can just see if I can go and have a look quickly and see if I can find it. Then I can share it and you'll be able to hear it. Okay, right. Let me, here, let's go look for Kookaburra. Okay, you. Okay. Kookaburra. There's the kookaburra. Kookaburra sound. Here we go. Let me bring it up. Let me share my screen again. Now that that's up, make that small. I'm learning how to share my screen with the kookaburra. Let's share the screen with the kookaburra. I hope you're going to be able to hear the kookaburra. Can you hear it? Yes, no?
Very lightly.
Okay, let me see if I can make it loud. Let me see how loud. Oh, it wasn't very loud. Hold on. Let me try again for you. Can you hear it now?
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, lightly.
It's an amazing bird with such an amazing sound. That is the sound of the kookaburra. And when two of them are, oh, there we go. Somebody brought one up. Or is that mine again? Oh, did that come up again? Oh, sorry. Let me just get rid of that. That was another one that came up. All right. Sorry about that. That suddenly appeared in my ears. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our trip around looking at the different animals. I hope that you are going to be able to learn more about the different animals that we have in different countries. I'm hoping to do some more series if I can. I've just got to get the go ahead to do that at a later stage. Right. Anybody got anything they'd like to say?
Yes, will you be conducting a session on Australian birds?
I haven't thought of that, but yes, maybe I think I should. Definitely, Wilhelmina, I will look into that. I'll start doing preparation. That would be in May, probably, or May or June. I will certainly look into that because we have beautiful birds.
And definitely include pictures from your yard.
Oh, yes. No, I will. We've got all sorts of things in our
Nice
yard.
pictures, yeah.
Yeah, no, we do. We get some amazing birds in our yard and in the little forest nearby. So we do see a lot of interesting animals. Yes, I'll certainly do that. If you put it into the feedback, I will be able to then pass it on to my bosses, and then we'll be
Thank
able to
you
take it
so
up further.
much. It's past my bedtime, but I had to stay up and see you tonight.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Much appreciated. Goodbye, everybody. Have
Okay,
a
thank you,
great
Sue.
day, evening. Bye for now.